Hey, welcome to another episode of David Michael Woods Unfiltered. Here's some clips from the movie Trump Card. Now, I encourage you to watch these video clips. Don't just exit. I know, some of you hear Trump and you want to go, ah! But watch what the real definition of an Islamic social country would look like. See Venezuela. See the truth of what they're trying to make America become.
And they have the oppression Olympics, where if you're not black or gay or a woman or disabled, then it's almost like you don't exist. I came out as gay after the Pulse nightclub terrorist attack. I want to make sure that the people coming into our country don't want to murder me. I feel like that's a pretty low bar to set, don't you think?
Pressler's fear points to a dangerous element of identity socialism, the connection to radical Islam. International businessman Alan Bender has told us he has the inside scoop on radical Islam's sinister scheme for America.
Are you a Muslim?
I am a secular Muslim. I'm married to a Christian.
And you're based in Canada. You're a member of the Liberal Party. You have been what could be loosely called in the Middle East a fixer.
Canadian-based businessman Alan Bender, seen here to the right of Walid bin Talal, who Mr. Bender represented in settlement negotiations.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the configuration of politics in the Middle East.
The Iranian regime actually believes that there is no coexistence with America. The path of the Islamic Sharia is the only way. And that leads to a clash between the pro-American states in the Gulf region and the Iranian regime. The Iranian government controls the government of Qatar. The Iranians don't pay, so they use Qatari money to pay whomever they need to pay.
Now, you have had some experiences which I think remarkably suggest that not only are the Iranians and the Qataris trying to influence the politics of the Middle East over there, but they're actually trying to influence American politics over here.
During my meetings with the top officials in Qatar to discuss potential major investments in North America, and they reiterated the fact that they produce more gas and oil than any other country in the region. They don't really need the return on their investments. However, their investments in North America is a powerful weapon to influence the elections and see to it that the outcome will fit the Iranian interest.
Which is to defeat Trump.
To defeat Trump. I said we are looking forward to the defeat of Trump. And then we will see the first Friday prayer taking place in the White House as a symbol of our victory and the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Her name is Ilhan Omar. She's a former refugee.
Come on in.
Somalia. She's a Muslim American, and she is now the Minnesota State House Representative.
What did the Qataris tell you about her?
They refer to her as Sister Ilhan, and to them, she is the jewel of their political crown. And they told me face to face that they financed her, heavily financed her, and they groomed her. And they said, you don't need to worry about skeletons being found because the media will bury it. We've seen more than 6 different scandals involving Ilhan Omar. Nobody investigated her.
Campaign finance violations, for example.
Exactly.
How do they control her?
Her weakness, money and sex.
How do they actually use their financial leverage to either influence or control people like Ilhan Omar?
America is a country of law and rules. We do it indirectly, and there are always loopholes that allows us to get through. I actually brought up, what about the media? He said, I think we're almost at the top of controlling that. And we have a lot of journalists who are on our payroll.
You're actually saying that these Islamic governments are making direct monetary payments to members of the mainstream media?
Correct.
These are not remote figures, but people in mainstream institutions?
That is correct.
What you're saying is that there is serious Middle Eastern and specifically radical Islamic intervention coming from abroad into U.S. politics.
Exactly. And I think it's more dangerous than the so-called Russian collusion.
But doesn't identity socialism and radical Islam make strange bedfellows? I raised the question with Imam Muhammad Tawhidi.
Any Islamist
will tell you that America is the enemy of Islam. They're chanting death to America every single day. I did it for 7 years. Death to America, death to Israel.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
So here's a paradox. In America, we have a political left. It's a progressive left. As you know, it's sexually permissive. And this political movement appears strangely allied with radical Islam. Can you explain this?
When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. They want them, go speak about the climate, go speak about abortion, go kill yourselves, go do that. Ilhan Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights, and all the other, my body, my choice, yes, go do that. But would she have an abortion? Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What's your take on her?
Fundamentalist, extremist, Islamist, jihadi ideology, a threat to national security, ISIS with lipstick.
And would it be fair to say that what Ilhan Omar wants is for all of America to look like her community?
Without a doubt. Firstly, the Muslims in Ilhan Omar's district are more radical than radicals in the Middle East.
New report by Congress says more than 250 Americans have attempted to join ISIS. 1 in 4 is from Minnesota, many of them former refugees.
Do you feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law. I'm a Muslim, I prefer Sharia law.
You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah.
What's the relationship between radical Islam and socialism in America?
Votes and common interest.
The Muslims are delivering the votes through their leaders. Yes. And what do the socialists and the progressive left give in exchange?
They give them a platform. They give them the media. They protect them.
If we have Islamic domination, which is the goal, as you suggest, will Americans become strangers in their own country?
Americans who have values, who believe in freedom of speech, freedom of belief, freedom of religion, Americans who want to raise their families as Christians, they will feel as strangers.
Treason, division, and the politics of fear and exclusion. This is their socialist dream for America. What is the left's blueprint for socialism?
And my policies most closely resemble what we see in Norway, in Finland, in Sweden.
But it may be better to consult an actual expert, former Danish Prime Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen.
I know that some people in the US associate the Nordic model with some sort of socialism. Therefore, I would like to make one thing clear. Denmark is far from a socialist planned economy. Denmark is a market economy.
The major political parties on the center-left and the center-right would oppose many of the proposals of Bernie Sanders.
Scandinavian countries are capitalist in wealth creation, but socialist in wealth distribution. For Swedish historian Johan Norberg,
it's really not a way of taking from the rich and giving to the poor, which is the perspective or the hope of many American and European intellectuals when they look at the tax levels in Sweden. What we do instead is that we tax consumption. We have a 25% VAT. consumption tax in Sweden, which means that the poor pay the highest proportion of that.
The Scandinavians don't soak the rich, they soak the whole society. Scandinavia is not the left's real model. So what is?
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Where did Bernie go for his honeymoon? Stockholm? No, Moscow.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
Where did Michael Moore go to champion healthcare? Copenhagen? No, Havana.
The Cuban people have free, universal health care. They become known around the world as having one of the best healthcare systems.
This is not a normal Cuban hospital. This is.
This is the emergency room?
Yeah.
Doctor, how old are these syringes? That thing looks like it's from the last century. Do you have sufficient facilities to sterilize all these old syringes?
No.
Most of your shelves have nothing.
Nothing.
The hospital in Moore's movie is only for foreigners who can pay and elite members of the Cuban regime. So Moore is colluding with the Cuban socialists to intentionally mislead his viewers. How these progressive leftists idolize socialist dictators.
Of my friend, President Chavez. He is one of the most important forces we've had on this planet.
Like a sick Hollywood love story.
How long has it been? We can bring it back again. Anything to spend.
Yes, this is the left's real model, Venezuela. My wife Debbie was born in Venezuela. She now mourns that her once prosperous country is now in ruins. Many Venezuelans fled to America, like my wife's friend. Gabby Franco was the first female shooter to represent Venezuela at the Olympics. She showed off her skills on History Channel's Top Shot. She and Debbie are big fans of the Second Amendment.
One of the things that is, I feel, a parallel between the Venezuelan left and the American left is their obsession with gun control.
Venezuelan authorities has vowed to crack down on guns as a pillar of domestic security policy.
It's, you know, like everything starts with a lie. This is for gun violence control.
Safety.
And at the end of the day, how can people rise against the government when they are disarmed?
What's striking to me is the closeness of this gun parallel. But it's only the beginning of these parallels between the two countries. One of them would be identity politics.
Right, so Hugo Chavez won the election in 1999, and he was indigenous. Venezuela is a very multicultural society. It has Italians, it has Germans, but he felt like there were not enough indigenous people in government. It was too white for him. So he decided to demonize the white people in Venezuela.
Another parallel is the demonization of the rich.
Much of the attack of the rich was for those entrepreneurs making a living, selling goods and services. So he decided to put a stop to that, setting price controls. So it drove many businesses out of business and out of Venezuela.
What about wealth confiscation?
Hugo Chavez had a national television show where he showed walking down the street and taking any apartment or any house he wanted and giving it to the homeless.
And today, if you leave your home in Venezuela and you go abroad and you come back,
someone else will be in it.
For Ruben Barboza, the future looks bleak. Over the past 40 years, he's built up a thriving cattle and dairy operation in western Venezuela. But this month, Hugo Chavez's government expropriated 30 farms in the region, and his could be next.
I developed all of this using my own intelligence and my own labor. And now that everything is going well, the government comes along and steals it from me, strips me of my land and my ideas.
There are more than 100 people working here. If there is an expropriation, we're all going to be out of work.
Let's turn to a different parallel, and this is the war on fossil fuels. How is it possible in a country that is so rich in resources that you would have electricity blackouts and gas lines for people to fill up the car?
Well, first of all, Hugo Chavez brought all his bureaucrats to take over. They had no idea how to run an oil company whatsoever. The American and British oil companies that were in Venezuela were basically run out.
All the engineers, everybody who knew what to do the job, they had to leave the country.
For fossil fuels, Hugo Chavez hated them, and he decided to do hydro energy instead. Venezuela had many, many droughts, therefore caused rolling blackouts.
Another parallel is the left-wing militants.
There is a group of criminals called colectivos in Venezuela, and they're very similar to our Antifa people here.
Colectivos got support from the government of Hugo Chavez, who work as the government's strong arm, intimidating and even killing members of the opposition.
Anybody raise their voice against certain ideologies of the government, they get terrorized by this group.
Le hago un llamado a los colectivos, a todos. Llegó la hora de la resistencia activa.
I grew up in a socialist country, India, which moved toward capitalism. And so India is doing a lot better. But Venezuela, which moved in the opposite direction from a capitalist society to socialism, seems to have crumbled.
This is how Venezuelans spend most of their time now, in line not for luxuries, but basics.
I moved from Venezuela to the Rio Grande Valley, and I thought I was moving into a third world country after coming from Venezuela because it was so wealthy. We had everything we needed and wanted.
It seems there's one class of people who are living pretty well. Who are they?
They're called the Chavistas.
Grab life. Thanks for watching another episode of David Michael Woods Unfiltered. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with a friend, and leave a comment below.